Hello one and all, and welcome back to another RWBY Volume 9 discussion. I'm your only mate, and with me, as always, is...
X-Futureds, howdy hey. We've got more RWBY to talk about. Maybe it's got some depressing stuff in it. Maybe it's got some really inspiring stuff in it. Maybe it's got a silly moment. Maybe it's got an anger-inducing moment. Maybe it's got all those things. Maybe I'm foreshadowing things deliberately. I don't know.
Maybe the only way to find out is to keep watching.
Perhaps so. It is, let's see, it is episode 4, A Cat Most Curious, because this cat do be rather curious, though.
Okay, can I just, get out a grievance?
Sure.
So, I recorded my mate watches video. At the time, this episode had no title.
Yes.
I called that out in my video, and as I'm going to upload it, I'm just like, oh, right, I gotta get... this is the following day, by the way, that I'm uploading it. I go to get the link, and I notice, oh, the episode has a title now!
Yeah, it seems to take an entire extra day for the title of the episode to go up. It's pretty consistent. I don't know why it's like that.
You know what? I don't know why these episodes don't have subtitles.
That's very weird.
And yet, whenever clips are posted on Twitter or YouTube, they have subtitles.
Does that mean people are writing it in themselves? Weird.
No, I mean from either RWBY or Crunchyroll itself.
Well then what are we missing? I looked all over the damn place and I don't see no option for subtitles anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just audio, English, subtitles, English. They're just not there.
Yeah, they just don't exist. What if I asked for them to be in Espanol?
Oh yeah, those work.
Oh, those do work! What the heck? That's weird. That's just downright bizarre to me. Alright, well, yeah, it'd be what it'd be, I guess. Well, now that we've grievanced the fact that there are no subtitles and also they need to update the names of these episodes faster, anything else you want to talk about before we get into it?
Nothing that's related.
The girls are following that cat.
And
losing track of that cat too.
Yeah. Until Little spots their tail, and it's just a cat's hindquarters.
And just randomly getting afraid of the cat whenever I guess it's comedically convenient. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, RWBY tries to do herself some bartering and questioning of the curious cat. Doesn't go well because the cat is very obtuse about things. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's just the way they just do things in the Ever After. RWBY asks what do you go by? That's just a common phrase. IRL, it's just oh, what do you go by? That's basically what's your name.
And then they end up taking it all literally and going on a soliloquy about it. It's just, it's too much. You're too much, weird talking cat.
I'm just realizing Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy might actually like it here.
Perhaps so. Also, because I am contractually obligated to point out anytime Weiss is amazing, shout out to the joke of it's RWBY's where we gotta get to the tree, and Weiss is all it feels like we've gotten farther. And then Yang says that's probably because we're 6 inches tall. And then Weiss just immediately saves face. It could be both things, and I love it. That face. It's the face Weiss makes is ah, dang, she right. All right, how do I still make this look okay for me?
Yeah, I love it too. And
once again, expression game in this volume is S tier.
Absolutely.
I feel like they've really stretched what is expected of the characters' faces well beyond what's normal, and I am here for it.
Yeah, well, there's also less human characters to do that with this volume,
so I mean, it's easier to probably fit it into the animation schedule.
Yeah, although they make Little expressive as hell, right next to Weiss, just poking their head out, still scared.
That is one freaked out mousy. Anywho.
Yeah. And then the cat saw, oh, you're trying to get to the tree? Well, see, you don't go to the tree goes to you. Unless you're me, you see.
Yeah, that's helpful.
I love Yang's response, just not even a little.
No, we have no idea what your deal is. You
Big
confuse
cat.
and vex us. You confuse and vex us greatly, talking cats. Really brings up the fact that, you know, I mean, you helped out. We think you can get us there because you've been there. And he's like, yeah, I have been there, and I don't want to go back there. Why would I want to go back there? That's stupid. And then he goes and chases the butterfly.
And Blake is all, but wait, you helped Alex. And the cat's like, oh, you know Alex? How do you know her? Are you friends? Are you enemies? Don't tell me. Okay, tell me. I gotta know.
That is one curious cat.
Indeed.
But, yeah, basically, Ruby's like, well, we don't really know her, but it's a story that we heard growing up.
Yeah,
Everybody heard it. It's like,
she wrote a book about her time here. It's kind of a childhood favorite of everyone.
thank you, Blake. She's so happy to say that, though. I'm sure you appreciate the, like, metric butt-ton of adorable Blake faces that have been going on in this volume.
I absolutely do. Like, look, she's just
so happy.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the previous episode. Like, Blake is living every nerd's dream of just, like,
She's
wanting to be
her
inserted into their favorite story.
It's like, yay! She's just so happy.
Like,
And obviously, yeah.
like, okay, like, you're watching, you've wanted to be in Star Wars and, like, be a Jedi, you've wanted to talk to Obi-Wan. Blake is basically living that dream, except it's Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, which admittedly is an interesting choice, but I'm not gonna judge.
I mean, she likes a lot of stories, so...
She does, but she's allowed to enjoy a variety of things.
Well, now I'm picturing Jedi Blake. That'd be awesome.
I'm trying to figure out what her reaction of ending up in Ninjas of Love would be.
She'd probably be very, very pleased. Let's leave it at that.
Indeed. Anywho.
Oh,
so
you know what?
Oh, yeah? Yes?
We joked about how, like, is this fictional in Remnant?
Yeah.
So does that mean Ninjas
if all stories
of Love
are parallel dimensions,
also
yeah,
happened?
It could. You never know. You never know. All books are just a different reality, and you just have to fall down the right hole to get to them. Who knew? Anyway, justifiably, the cat is admitted, like, the cat's curious about a lot of things, but, you know, if I learned somebody had wrote a book that, you know, involved me in it, I'd be curious how I was portrayed as well. So he throws a bunch of questions out there. Also asks if he smells mouse.
And Blake is quick to, you know, hide little, and I never expected Blake to say something like this, and she just says, look, as one cat to another... Okay, never thought I'd actually hear her call herself a cat, but...
Oh, yeah,
there we are.
Get used to it. It's gonna happen again. But,
kind of.
Yeah, sort of, anyway. The point is, I guess there's some sort of honor code among cats that eats the rats, and the cat is no longer interested in eating little, so
Just
I
like,
guess that works out
oh, they're
pretty well.
spoken for.
Yeah, that's a weird way of phrasing it.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would say that about Blake.
Fair. Regardless of that fact, the cat once again scurries off, and Weiss gives the truly most epic of burns, and gives it a very long and highly descriptive name that's not that punchy, and Yang sarcastically says that she did a good job, and Weiss doesn't figure that out and takes it as a legitimate compliment, and God, Weiss, why are you the best? Why are you always the best? I can't handle this.
Look, I know she says it sarcastically, but Look, in the May Watches videos, like, if I say something that I feel like is just a good burn, I'm gonna use that clip. Absolutely.
Just
got him, totally roasted.
It's so genuine. Thank you. Like, I know Weiss. She's being a bully. Anywho, Blake basically lays down the facts again that, well, at the end of the day, the cat's what we gotta do. We just gotta, you know, kind of trick the cat to do what we want.
Yeah, the cat doesn't want to go back to the tree, but we can lure them back with stories about Remnant.
Mm-hmm.
But
the cat is gone.
Okay, so I've talked about this before, how, like, look, with various scenes we've seen, like, when Ruby snaps, because, like, we know that's coming.
Oh, absolutely. It is inevitable.
Yeah, like, until Ruby gets back on her feet, yeah, I think Blake should absolutely take over as acting leader.
You would.
Evidence is mounting, okay?
You would.
Look, I'd be cool with it being Blake or Weiss.
I know. I know what's more likely. Doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
Can we just both agree that it won't be Yang?
Yang doesn't. Yang is a great gal in many ways, but a leader she is not.
Nah, not really. Like, I love you, Yang, but a leadership role, I don't know.
Nah, I don't think so. You're good at about a bajillion other things, though. Be proud of those.
Yeah.
Anywho, once again, Ruby has to attempt to barter with the curious cats. Like, hey, ho, you know, we could tell you all manner of stories about various things, and that'd be pretty dope while we walk over to the tree.
Also,
literally,
hey, look, shiny.
It is a shiny, and she shows the scroll, and the kitty plays with it, takes a bunch of pictures. I admit, it's pretty cute. It's pretty cute.
Yeah. I also still like my joke of just like comparing that to taking endless screenshots on a Switch.
Yeah. It's like, all right, yep, it's gonna take Ruby like half an hour to delete all those later.
Yeah, like, I've had a friend do that, and I'm just like, I hate you so much.
Indeed. Although, admittedly, she should probably have a few more pictures of things while they're there, just so she can properly show everybody's like, yo, check where we were, though.
Why have I only just thought about that?
I know, right? It's like, she's gotta keep that picture so she can show it to somebody when she gets out. I don't know. It's like, there was this cat. Look at this cat. Took him a scroll, took pictures. It was weird.
Hey,
like,
you've read The Girl Who Fell Through the World? Yeah, we were there.
We were there. It was insane.
Got the photos to prove it.
Yeah, assuming they stay there, but let's just assume that they will. Anywho, so, yeah, Team RWBY basically say they'll regale the cat with all manner of tale, which is basically code for, they basically explain the entirety of the plot of the series up to that point. We don't see them do that, but that is implied what it is.
Yeah.
And the curious cat brings up a bunch of, meta stuff.
Yeah, like, just how Oscar and Osmond sharing a body has some implications.
Unfortunate implications, which, look, admittedly, that's a funny thing to just bring up.
Yeah, and yeah, even as like someone who ships Rose Garden, like, okay, yeah, like,
I mean, it is a problem. It's an issue that needs to be resolved for that to work.
Yeah,
I admit this.
Like, either they merge and Oscar is still Oscar, just with memories,
or Osmond just gets out of there altogether.
Yeah, the gods come back and they just like return Osmond to the afterlife.
Yeah, so whatever comes first. Either way, both of those seem very possible.
Yeah, and then boom, Oscar just gets to be Oscar.
Yeah, and honestly, I think my favorite one is I keep messing up her name, so I'm not gonna say it, but the cat brings up
CL.
Yeah, CL or something. The cat brings up that character specifically from the Vital Festival, basically Penny's handler.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, they were a thing.
I find it hilarious because out of like almost every character that showed up and then never showed up again, that's the one that a lot of people really did kind of obsess over for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it. It's just like
I really thought they were going to
Penny in the tournament, so it's just like, well, and they're from Atlas, so you'd think like, well, yeah, when we go back to Atlas, we'll see them again, right? It's just like,
or something.
At
the very least, it just felt like, I don't know, you went to the trouble of giving her a name and a model. You'd think they would have done slightly more. I mean, they didn't do a ton with Neptune, but you still did stuff after introducing him. You know?
But
like,
I don't know. I wasn't that fussed. Like, either way.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like
I never cared, but a lot of people did. So that's why it's fun that the cat brought it up.
Plus, I mean, there's like all these other characters that you got to focus on. So it's like,
yeah, and then
whatever.
the cat literally says that there are a lot of characters to follow, and then it gets confusing. Nice one on that. I appreciate it.
And goes on to ask what their original question was because, well, they got so wrapped up in everything they forgot. Okay.
The girls are so done.
Originally, I thought, okay, so there isn't really a B moment in this episode, but honestly, with how this line sounds, I'm counting this one.
You would.
The way Yang just tiredly just goes, Blake, it's your turn. Like,
I'm left wondering how long they've been walking for.
Well, how long Ruby's been walking for.
Fair enough. The cat's floating and the others are hitching a ride.
But like people have pointed out, like the way that line is delivered, it sounds like they've had a kid in the future. It's crying in the middle of the night, and it's like Blake's turn to calm it down or something.
If you go deal with it, I'm done. One nap.
And as someone who's written a fanfic where these two
they do that
with a kid,
yeah,
I appreciate the hell out of that joke out of that line.
Yes, it is relevant to your interests.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for a very, 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 very quick, little, tiny, insignificant, don't worry about it rant that I want to get out of the way very quickly. Don't worry. All right. So, the Curious Cat basically, says, it's a real good story, and they've enjoyed it. But they makes the offhand comment that some of the voices seem somewhat uninspired, and specifically singles out Weiss. Now, benefit of the doubt, caniacally, from the perspective of the characters in question. Yeah, it could easily be interpreted as, well, the character, the Team RWBY themselves were actually, providing voices for the various people in the story, and Weiss is just so fed up and grumpy that maybe she's not giving it her all and not really selling any of it and is just kind of recounting things, and therefore, from that perspective, she is not the most fun storyteller. And that is a very nice little in-canon explanation for it. I can understand and I can dig that. However...
Yeah, and I could see that just being the case.
Yes, obviously. However, I would be remiss to not point out the fact that considering literally everything else in this scene has been a meta-contextual jab at various aspects of the franchise up to this point, there are only really two ways you can interpret this as, from that particular angle. Either A, they're saying that Kara's voice work as Weiss was considered not very good in the original few volumes, in which case that is an objectively wrong thing to say because she was great in those, same as literally everybody else. So that doesn't make any sense. Or the other possibility of B, that I guess uninspired would mean that Weiss's voice actress doesn't put a spin on her voice, and it's an uninspired because she's just using her speaking voice, but that also doesn't make any sense because a ton of the actors do that, and in fact, I'd say Kara puts slightly more effort into making a Weiss voice than Barbara does Yang, and hang on, that's not me insulting Barbara. I love the Yang. It's great. It's fantastic. What I'm just trying to say is, why single out Weiss/Kara in this regard? I do not get it. I fail to understand the joke.
Yeah, I honestly got that vibe from this scene, because, look, if the joke literally is just, the girls did voices for the story, Weiss wasn't into it, so the cat's just wow, you could have done better with that. If that's the joke, okay, but having it right next to all this meta stuff, it does give off the vibe that they're making jabs at Kara for some reason.
And if that was not the goal in any shape, way, or form, I merely say that should have been conveyed better.
Yeah, and, I at least want to hope that is the case, and I imagine, if Kara read that in the script and took offense to it, they would have removed it, or at least rewritten the scene.
Or reworded it, or something or another, so I'm just going to assume, from this point forward, that it was just something that was written in the script and not portrayed absolutely perfectly, and it gave a little bit of confusion. And either way, it's a small joke. I will choose to move on with myself.
Yeah, it's just a little weird, where it is.
That I agree.
Yeah.
But anyway, to continue to the rest of the thing, they ponder how much longer they gotta go. And it's well, it's just, right over heckin' there, man, and then all
they also fall. They bring up Alex a little bit.
Yeah.
And the cat mentions how, that girl can see past her own nose. Which, that got me thinking while I was talking about this episode with Proboscis and Aiden. So, you know that bit in the opening when Ruby's falling and we see, like, the knight, the prince, the cat, the Jabberwocker, the blacksmith, like, various characters that we have seen and have yet to see?
Yeah, all that mess.
There's a portrait of, you know, who we believe to be Alex.
Yeah.
But behind them is a silhouette, and that person is clearly wearing glasses.
Huh.
So, and I've seen people point this theory out, because, like, when we saw Neo fall, it was like a pink comet. So, that's how they fall.
Yeah.
When we see the Ever After, like, and the title, RWBY Volume 9, there's two blue ones falling at the same time. So, I'm wondering, the girl that we see in the opening, is that Alex?
I do not know. I mean, there is still that other theory, but, you know, we need more information to work with before we can really say.
Yeah, like, look, this episode raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, we're not even at the point where it really does that yet.
Yeah, and to be honest, like, some of these episodes, like, even before have raised questions that we don't have answers to. Yet.
Yeah. So, anywho, that it's also important to note that, you know, after the cat says that, and Weiss basically says, well, she was, you know, trying to survive, and, you know, you helped her, and she got better, and the cat...
Just throwing this out there, Blake is the one who is all, but she learned her lesson in the end, right?
Right. Sorry, I get names mixed up. It happens.
Look, I get that you have an obsession with Weiss.
Okay, how about you leave me alone right now? All the words you're speaking, you stop them. The point
Sorry,
is...
I saw the chance.
Shush. The point is, honestly, the way the cat phrases it makes me wonder some things. It's like, I guess there might be more to this Alex girl than...
Oh, there absolutely is.
Led to assume and or believe. That's all I wanted to get out. You didn't have to make fun of me.
Yeah. Also, that would kind of line up with, like, do you remember when Osborn mentioned that he didn't publicize the fact that Leo was a turncoat and worked for Salem?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, well, this story would be, like, perceived better by people and wouldn't cause a panic if it's, you know, given this way. So, I think, yeah, there's absolutely more to the story than we know.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's just kind of how it is. Revisionist history and all that.
Yeah.
Plus, if the book was written by Alex, then obviously she'd probably, you know, move things around to make herself at least somewhat better.
Yeah, and if there was more than one person, maybe one of them didn't make it back?
Oh, now you get it. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. I never even saw that glasses silhouette in the intro before. I actually just straight up, while you were talking, I rewound to look at it. I was like, yeah, wouldn't you know it? There they be. And I'm left to ponder what that's gonna be all about.
We will see.
Anyway, the curious cat decides to be an unintended jerkwad and press Ruby's trauma button by just like, yes.
Well, before that, we do get some info that this acre has what the girls need to make a Grogut parfait, which will get them back to normal size. Please, let's get that soon.
Yes. See, here's the thing. And I was under the assumption that it was a deliberate reference to the American food stuff known as Go-Gurt. I don't know why it wouldn't be a direct reference to that, or at least a nudge to it. Regardless of that fact.
I got the joke. The only time I've ever heard Go-Gurt in anything was Family Guy.
Well, yeah, it would have had to have been from some American media. Most Americans don't want to eat that crap. I can't imagine they bring it over to frickin' the Britlands. They ain't doing that crap.
Yeah, like even without that, I could imagine it's like, oh yeah, it's like a yogurt dessert thing.
Yeah, basically.
Like, yeah.
It's on the go. Anywho, but yeah, they need the Grogurt parfait to get all the biggins. So that's some good stuffs. But then the cat presses the trauma button by bringing up Salem. Is like, man, now that Atlas is gone, and well, how the hell are you even gonna do that? How many artifacts does she need before she can just destroy everything and kill everybody? Man, good luck with that. And Ruby gets big sad.
To be fair, like, for all Weiss knows, Winter was able to get the 2 relics back.
I mean, we know that they didn't.
Yeah, we know, but that is something that the girls could say. It's just like, I mean, maybe that happened.
Maybe.
Like, Weiss's sister's kind of a badass. Like, for all we know, she did that.
Yeah, she's got laser vision. You know, it's possible.
And who knows, maybe
Anywho.
she killed Cinder and Winter's now a double maiden.
No, that would be dope. It didn't happen, but it'd be dope.
I feel like I would just be telling myself that is just like, look, for all I know, that's what happened.
No.
I can just focus on getting out of here and getting back, and I'll deal with whatever happens afterwards.
Yeah, so anyway, while Ruby is obviously depressed and Yang, you know, and Blake make an effort to try and it's like, hey ho, maybe let's not think about that right now.
Cat's gone.
It's then made apparent the cat's gone again, and Weiss has to briefly vent over the fact that of all the characters from the book, they had to end up getting stuck with this freaking thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fair. It is very annoying.
Yeah, then Weiss mentions a couple.
Do you really have to get into this?
Well, one is a carpenter. I can never remember what she says about the carpenter. It's
helpful. They said, hey, okay, just give me half of a second.
Right. It would be easier if I had subtitles, Crunchyroll.
I know, but hang on. I'm listening to her right now. Lively Carpenter.
Okay. So, that's another character we'll see at some point.
Yeah, so she's like, hey, why can't we see the Lively Carpenter or the Rusted Knight? Those would be better. Blah, 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 blah. And they wouldn't have the attention span of a goldfish. And Little says, hey, you could get some goldfish in there, and that's not the point. You are a silly mouse.
I mean, bless Little, they're trying.
They are doing their best. Regardless, then they hear some creepy-ass noises, and they're like, well, guess we gotta go inspect that, which is a decision. I feel like they probably could have gotten away with not doing that, but they did.
Yeah, but I mean, the cat's gone well, so they're gonna do.
Fair, but I don't know. Considering, you know, Ruby being unarmed and everybody else being so incredibly tiny, going towards a suspicious noise in a dark, spooky forest would not be my first call, but hey. Regardless, they find a garden.
And as the pilot leaves with eyes.
A big, horrifying, buggy, sluggy man just shoots out from there. What was he doing? What were they doing in there?
Yeah,
Again,
okay.
They're raking. You don't rake from inside the pile. That's weird.
Alright, so I love how this whole scene plays out.
I bet you do.
Just... Okay, like... We find out they're a herbalist, or, like, the Curious Cat calls them Herb later. So I'm just gonna call them Herb.
Alright, go for it.
It's
then.
easier than
just
just
short
saying,
herbalist.
like, the Caterpillar or the Herbalist, like... Just gonna call them Herb.
Alright.
Anyway, Herb, like, asks, what are you? And Ruby's just like, oh, I'm so tired of that question. What question? And upon seeing them, Yang goes, what are you? And Herb's just like, oh, that question.
It is pretty interesting.
I love how that's done.
The herbalist's entire characterization appears to be that of somebody who is trying to do their job, but is incredibly grumpy and tired of a lot of nonsense, and is just trying to get things done, but people are making it harder for them. Granted, the girls themselves don't realize they're doing that, because the way that Herb goes about it, he's like, alright, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because, like, everyone in the Ever After is, like, super literal about everything.
Right. But, so the herbalist is like, you know, when he asks, like, what are you, it's not... He's not asking what their species is, he's asking what they actually are, and then when he says, well, Ruby says they're huntresses, and she doesn't understand how this is at all relevant. And after confirming that he could probably make the Grogurt parfait, which he gets all grumbly about. So he keeps asking these questions, and she's like, I don't understand how asking us why, asking us what we are is relevant. And he says, I don't understand why you don't understand why it's relevant. And it kind of comes into this big thing. And they kind of go into a bit of a circular motion, a conversation about this sort of thing. As it turns out, having this information is important in order to actually undo the thing that is being done, but admittedly, the herbalist is not exactly being very concise with these directions and is just kind of being incredibly vague and frustrating, which causes the girls to be vague and frustrating from their perspective. It's a mess.
Yeah, look, when everyone in a world is like literal about everything, and someone from Remnant or our world like ends up in there, it's gonna get confusing.
Understandable.
Also, did you notice the cheese plants from the first episode are on the counter?
I did not, but now I do, and that is delightful. Good for cheese plants. Anyway, once eventually the information on Huntress is out, the next question is, well, what is a Huntress? And it's actually Blake who particularly answers the question, which is nice.
Yeah, she says that Huntresses are heroes who protect those who can't protect themselves, and well, after all the confusion, I appreciate Hub's thank you. Yeah,
I was like, a concise and clear answer. Okay, now I know what that is. Appreciate it.
Now, are you good Huntresses?
And boy, howdy, is that a question.
Personally, I think...
I would say yeah. I'd say yes. Obviously, I would say yes. Look, even if they can't be absolutely perfect all the time, literally nobody is absolutely perfect. When you're in a combat-centric profession the way they are, you're not going to be able to save everyone. You're not going to be able to do everything that you need to be able to do. It's, bad times come, bad times go. You got to roll with it. And in that particular instance, I'd say these four are actually not just good. I wouldn't even say they're great. I'd say they're phenomenal Huntresses.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, but with everyone being silent, Yang just asks, look, can you help us or not? And Hub's just like, look, I'm trying, but you're making this complicated.
Yeah, because, well, if you want to go back to the way that you is, you gotta know who you are and what that means, and it's a big process.
Yeah, like, knowing what you are about, and, that being key to what you'll ultimately become.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to now have to...
yeah. I'll admit, this whole bit is, like, just kind of intriguing to me.
No, it's very interesting. Although now I'm going to have to physically repress my, outright disdain.
Before we get to that bit...
Yes, okay.
Herb has a comment of just, like, being so fed up and says, this is how a king winds up a prince. Excuse me, but what?
Yeah. I was caught unawares by that one, too.
Wait, so the Red King and the Red Prince are the same person, but, like, something happened that caused the Red King to turn into the Red Prince? Like...
Another way you could interpret it would be more of a metaphorical sense, in the sense that things like this are what cause a king to die and a prince to take over. That's less. It's less clear cut, but I mean, it is an interpretation. Either way, this is.
It's just how vague that is. It's just like.
It's so vague that you're left wondering, well, what the heck is even going on?
Like, look, please elaborate. Yeah. Imagine we'll get answers in upcoming episodes.
Yeah, but I really don't like having to wait. It's a bummer, man.
I know, right?
Anyway, Team RWBY have to go into the nasty-ass den of awfulness that I hate. Smells terrible in there.
I do like Blake, so, you know what? Maybe we're just gonna get going.
Yeah. Well, I think Blake has a vague idea of what's about to go down.
Oh yeah, I mean, she knows the story better than anyone.
Yeah. Anywho, the point of the matter is, the herbalist just seals the door so they can't get away, and fills that place up with all manner of the smokes. and Ruby drops everybody. I'm gladly they're okay, but still.
Yeah, okay, they have aura. Also, if we're going by Ant-Man logic, then the girls would still have all their strength at this size.
That would be dope. Now I want to see what? Now I want to see Weiss punch somebody while she's tiny and make them go flying. That'd be neat.
I will quickly call out, like, because I know after all the shrinking stuff came out, people made jokes about, like, I don't know, like, Little getting revenge on the whole, like, Blake eats Little memes. Yeah, if we go by Ant-Man science by this, Blake would obliterate Little in a single blow, just throwing it out there.
Also, luckily, they're friends, so get out of here with that crap.
Yeah, like, look, either way, let's just not.
Yeah. Anywho, so the girls are all thrown into their...
That being said, could you imagine, just like, if that was where this show went, like, no, let's not. Blake, fights back, punches Little once, and then just BOOM!
Explosion. Little don't deserve that. Little is a good fellow.
No, but I'm just saying if we go by Ant-Man logic, that's what would happen.
Yeah, I get you. Anywho, the girls are all tossed into their own separate little smoke dimensions. And we start with Yang, and she calls out to people, but then she coughs up her Volume 1 self, as you do. Sometimes you got a bad cough, and you cough up a past version of yourself, and you just kind of have to have a talk with them.
Yeah, and
not trippy at all.
And this is where I want to bring up. So you know how we use Persona music all the time, and we've made various jokes about certain things just being Persona in RWBY.
Yeah.
This is Persona 4.
Yeah, this is... So, for lack of a better term,
also,
basically... Yes?
Also, the music that you've been hearing all, like, this whole video is just like, what else was I gonna use?
Yeah, no, it was the only choice.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so basically the Volume 1 versions of Yang, Weiss, and Blake are all just kind of trying to... Kind of trying to tell, get them to stop with their current trajectory, and it's like, you don't gotta be doing all of this. All of this is entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, Yang's shadow is just saying, like, look, you don't have to go forward, you can go back. Flexes her arm, which gets Yang to look at hers, and just says, back to being, like, how you used to be. Don't you want to be whole again?
Oof. Blake's is interesting. Go ahead. Please.
Yeah, this raises some questions, because Shadow Blake tells Blake that she could just be human, or just a cat.
If she wanted to be.
Okay, hold up! Is that implying that if Blake wanted to, she could just become a cat?
Like, are these shadow versions, okay, so it's like Shadow Yang is like tempting Yang into the prospect of getting her arm back. Assuming it can do that, is that saying that Blake, if she wanted to, could just become a cat?
Or just not have cat ears anymore and just be human? Yeah,
it's interesting. We don't know how serious we could really take what these doppelgangers are saying.
Yeah, I think
it's interesting.
I think of all of them, like, okay, well, first of all, like, Shadow Blake even goes on to say, why bother being a bridge between humans and faunus? Like,
yeah,
why struggle with that responsibility? Don't you want a simpler life?
Yeah. Blake is obviously hesitant to hear these words, so that's nice at least.
I mean, they all are, and...
I know, I'm just saying. I'm trying to give Blake... I'm trying to call out Blake specifically for her exact moment. Because in a little bit, it's going to be pretty awesome for her.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome for all of them. And this is where I pass it over to you.
All right, so Shadow Weiss basically just kind of says, at the end of the day, like, the Shnee name, what's it even worth? Nothing at this point. So why not just be a nobody? You don't have to shoulder, the expectations of a dead name and other such things, and she could just go off and be a nobody, and how much obviously that would be preferred.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Of all the shadow conversations, this one raises the least questions.
No, it does, because, well, Weiss's character journey has been the least ambiguous in a lot of ways. But yeah, the Shadow asked us, if she just wants to be free from all that mess. And well,
now we get all their responses.
Yeah, none of these gals are all about that. I mean, look, you're the Blake guy, and to a lesser degree the Yang representative as well. So you go right on ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So Yang tells her Shadow that her losses and failures have basically shaped her into the person that she is. And, if she's missing something, it's not because she lost it, it's because she hasn't found it yet. And I've seen people call this out of just, look, this for, representation of, someone with a disability. Holy crap, dude! And I've mentioned this to you, before this volume started, how, Barbara said that there's a line that Yang has that she doesn't know if she'll ever be happy with because it's such a big moment for her character. So we're pretty confident this is that moment, right?
If it is, personally, I think she did a great job. But
yeah,
we're all
same.
our own worst. We're all our own worst critics, so I get it.
Yeah. And now we've got Blake.
Yang is resolved, and that's good. She's able to look back on all the things that happened to her, and you know what? It's just part of who she is now, and going back on all of that would be terrible. So
it would basically just undo all of her growth at this point.
Yeah, and she's pretty happy with how she's become a better person since then.
Yeah. And, okay, there was a RWBY roundtable. Barbara mentioned how basically playing Volume 1 Yang again, it's very different to how Yang is now.
100%. Okay, no, this is actually very important to it's not very important, but it's something I want to at least personally bring up before you continue. It's that basically all three of them are their older selves are voiced with their old cadences, with Yang's past self speaking overly cheerfully and bouncily, the way she used to do.
Yeah.
The way with Blake, she's speaking very somberly and sort of in a monotone-esque manner, back during her broody girls phase, that sort of thing. And even Weiss is talking with her old sort of her grandiose flair way of talking, where everything's a bit more robust and condescending in its own way. And it's just it's the change from those ways of speaking have been so subtle that I didn't realize it until it really just kind of hits you right in the face when they're talking right next to each other.
Honestly, same.
It's wow, I didn't realize the vocal evolution was as prominent as it was. But yeah, their old selves and their current selves sound very, very different. Yang takes things a bit more, seriously, and she comes at things from all approaches. Blake is able to emote fully again, to all the extent, and able to project herself better. Weiss speaks so much more casually and directly with less poise and prose, rather. It's noticeable, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and honestly, that has me just thinking back to various scenes and comparing it now. It's just yeah, even just the subtlest detail is just yeah, even just from that aspect, they've been just growing over time.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on forever about the Weiss angle on that one, but I'm going to have enough to talk about involving her in a little bit.
And speaking of having a lot to talk about, Blake tells her shadow self that a simple life wouldn't be her life.
Yeah.
And how her friends, family, culture, they belong to her as much as she belongs to them, and to just give that up wouldn't be simplicity, it would just be betrayal.
It's yeah, it would make her life a whole lot easier, but she doesn't want that easy life. She wants to make that difference.
Yeah.
And she'll work however hard it takes in order to do that. That's really badass.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of reminding me of this quote I remember from... Have you ever seen the film Bruce Almighty?
I have, yes.
Okay, when
Somehow,
Morgan
but
Freeman,
yes.
God, tells Bruce, like, look, people pray for miracles, like, all the time. Be the miracle. That's basically what Blake's goal is. Like, look, she's not gonna, like, just sit around and hope things get better. It's just like, no, I'm gonna do what I can to make things better.
Yeah, she's gonna get out there and she's gonna, you know what? Maybe even if it is ultimately pointless or fruitless and she can't do anything, at the very bare minimum, at the end of her life, she can look back and say she tried her damnedest every step of the way to make it happen. And you know what? That's entirely respectable in its own right.
Yeah, and also another aspect is just like, well, she's also just, if she's happy, then, you know, I say that's a win.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's just like, man, like, this moment.
I mean, Blake's
so much.
journey over the course of this show, like, I very much want to give her kudos, you know. Okay, like, I have my character, you have yours, but that doesn't mean I'm blind to the progression and the arcs of all these other characters and how incredibly poignant and meaningful they all are. I can see, I've seen Blake go through this entire show, and I've seen her change and adapt, and it has been something really great.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm just gonna throw this out there because this is something that actually applies to both of us. So, when I first started watching RWBY,
Yes.
I honestly thought Yang would be my favorite character, but over time it became Blake.
And I also thought Yang would be my favorite character, only for it to slowly be over time become Weiss.
Yeah, so...
Sorry, Yang. We still like you.
Also, hey, Yang, at least in my case, you could probably agree, just like, yeah, Blake is awesome too.
But, yeah, no, it's just, well, knowing who I was, or am, or whatever, I guess it has been about almost at least eight years minimum since I've started watching this show proper. Goddamn.
I've been since day one. It's been 10 years for me.
Right, exactly. It was like, well, just knowing who I am or was or anything, and just the characters that I usually gravitate towards, and just going off of, you know, the bare minimum of what it is that I was given, it just seemed like Yang was going to be the lock. I've never before RWBY ever found myself drawn to a character like Weiss, and the fact that not only was she able to not typically be the type of character that I usually go towards, the fact that she was also able to go past even beyond that into becoming literally my favorite character in fiction, goddamn, I think that says a lot.
Honestly, same with me and Blake. Like, and I want to say Blake kind of had an effect on just, like, other characters I seem to gravitate toward. Even in just physical appearance. Like, dark and short hair. Like, even just that. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I was doing that thing where it was just like, look, here's various characters I like, and then you pointed out to me, it's just like, you seem to have a thing for girls with, like, short, dark hair, and I'm just, like, looking at that and being like, huh.
Yeah.
I actually might. This is weird.
Yeah, you learn things about yourself that you didn't know. But yeah, no, Weiss has basically permanently altered how I look at just about any character that could even be kind of vaguely comparable to her. The one that immediately springs to mind would be Noir from Hyperdimension Neptunia, which I don't know if I would have been as receptive of that character as I was had I never saw Weiss. And, well, then, bang, then she became one of my favorite characters, too. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, no, Blake has been doing some really good stuff. Anything else you want to say about it?
Well, I was also going to be like, that's also a similar thing with Mikasa from Attack on Titan for me. It's just like, yeah, has a whole bunch in common with Blake.
It's like,
evidently.
Never. And you just looked at it as like, you know, I never used to think all that high, you know, all that much about the, you know, the kind of broody, somber girl, you know.
Yeah,
and
but
things
it's just
changed.
like, yeah, things change. Like the more and more attached I got to Blake, and like, yeah, she became borderline my favorite character in fiction as well. And it's just like,
it's not borderline for me. It's very much clear cut for me now.
Well, okay, yeah, no, it is like clear cut for me as well. I was just trying to be like, I don't know what I was trying to be, but anyway, I'm bad with words.
Nah, it's okay. You do fine.
I think my entire channel is evident of that.
You do fine. Just keep talking.
And yeah, that went on to me, like, you know, finding Mikasa and being like, oh my god, this character is epic, I love him too. And it can just go from there. Like, geez, your favorite character, like, can do a lot.
Yeah. And there's a lot more I could say, but I'll focus on one thing at a time. Is it okay for me to transition to the next one here?
Yeah, this part's all you.
Thank you. All right, so Weiss basically kind of throws out the verbal smackdown on her past self, basically saying that she doesn't even know who exactly she thinks she's supposed to be, but Weiss is very, very aware of who it is she is, and that is the granddaughter of a hero and the child of a villain, which is just a badass way of saying it, I gotta be real.
It is.
And that she's not ever going to be a slave to her name ever again. What it once meant means nothing to her. All that matters to her is the fact that it's her name, and she's going to make its worth known by her own hand and its own. Basically, it doesn't matter the good actions of her family, the bad actions of her family. It's all entirely pointless. She is going to be the one to define what her name means, and man, God, Weiss, you. My heart. that would have been an unthinkable thing for her to say when this series started.
Right?
And it's just she's gone through so much and changed so much and become such a wonderful person, and just it makes me turn into a goo.
Well, I get that feeling when I watch like all three of these scenes. Just like,
yeah,
I'm extraordinarily biased towards Blake, but like Yang's whole thing, Weiss's whole thing, it's just like, oh god damn, I love all of these.
Exactly. No, all of them are fantastic. It's
I'm gonna be calling back to this again a little later, but I want to focus on happier stuff.
Yeah.
So you remember in Volume 2 when Oobleck like asks these three like why they want to become huntresses, and they have ideas, but they're not sure exactly like, you know, how to get from point A to B.
Yeah, they never really thought about it that hard and that way.
Yeah. Then they had their little, like, bed fireside chat about it, and that strengthened their resolve a little bit. But then, like, all this stuff that they've gone through, it's, like, shaped them into the people that they are now, and what
and
they're ultimately...
they want to be.
Yeah. And...
What?
Yeah, thinking back to that, it's just like... Damn! Like...
Yeah. The girls, they aren't a name, they aren't a race, they aren't an anything. They are themselves. They know who they are and what they want to be and what they want to do, and they're confident in that, and that's fantastic.
But notice how we've been saying that for Weiss, Blake, and Yang.
Okay, so here's the thing. Once again, calling back to the fact that you bring up that fireside chat from Volume 2. You know, it didn't really seem like it mattered all that much at the time, but you know how RWBY didn't really take any part of that, and Oobleck didn't even bother asking RWBY why she wanted to be a huntress? Well, as it turns out, the fact of the matter is, RWBY's motivations and her sense of hope and drive has kind of been taken for granted by literally every single member of the cast at this point. It's important to note that, you know, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, we've seen them reach their low points, and we've seen them, you know, despair to them and rise to the occasion of them, figure out what it is they want and how to get through it, and take their traumas and turn them around into ways to make themselves stronger. You know, you can very carefully map out each and every individual point of those things happening. And while there obviously is always more growth to have, for the long and short of it, they've pretty much reached the overall general conclusion of the type of arc that they've been having, and they've gotten to that point.
But still have
Not
room
so
to grow beyond this point.
Yeah, everybody still has room to grow, but I'm just saying from a narrative perspective, who they are has been solidified. These are the characters they're going to be for the rest of the series. How they respond and go about to the various events, we do not know, but we have an idea now. This is not the case for RWBY, because basically, this entire series has been the slow, traumatic moment and descent into her lowest point since episode 1. She hasn't had that turnaround moment yet. And it's really been weighing on her. When RWBY's shadow talks to her, she literally has absolutely no retort. She can't fight back against it. The shadow basically just says, you know, you gotta continue to be the strong person that literally everybody relies on. You don't get a choice in that, and
you just have to keep fighting forever against an invincible monster who took your mother.
It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, Mom was the best, and she couldn't do anything. Doesn't seem very fair. And, well, when you don't have the ability to retort against these sort of things, all of a sudden the offers they start to make sound a whole lot more appealing, to say the least.
Before we get to this offer, I just want to bring up, like, this is something that Robuscus mentioned to me, and it's like, oh god, yeah, when you think about it. Like, everything in the series up to this point has, like, you know, strengthened Weiss, Blake, and Yang, and, like, molded them into the people that they are now.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of been breaking RWBY ever so slowly.
It's been the entire opposite for her. And you know what? Wouldn't you know it? The intro itself really does just kind of spell that out for you.
Yeah.
Like, the three of them started kind of in low parts, and then they just kind of built themselves over time, and they're able to walk forward into the future with confidence in themselves. Whereas RWBY started with a lot of hope and confidence, and that everything was going to be great, and everything would be awesome, and has only slowly but surely become less naive to the world, and it's many, many struggles.
Yeah, and well, I have something a bit depressing to talk about, but with something that will go into something hopeful for RWBY.
Oh boy.
Do you remember the lyrics to the opening of Volume 2?
Yeah, the point where it bends, the point where it breaks, and the point where they just, you know, can't take anymore. I remember.
Yeah, RWBY's, RWBY's getting to that point.
The worst part is she hasn't broken yet. She's just gotten really close.
Yeah.
And considering that this has been 9 seasons worth of traumatic moments and problems for her this entire time, I am deeply intimidated by what that break is going to look like.
So am I, and all the heartbreak that comes from it, and
I don't know if it's going to turn out into pure despair, pure rage, a combination of the two. There are a lot of ways the writers could choose to take this, and I don't want to know, but I'm going to have to eventually. It's going to be painful.
But here's something hopeful. Like, we mentioned how, you know, Yang, Blake, and Weiss all started at, like, some low points and whatnot, but got better over time.
Yeah.
RWBY was always there to, like, you know, help them through it. And, you know, be a beacon of positivity for all of them.
Yeah, and so now they just kind of have to pay it forward.
Yeah, so, like, the three of them can help RWBY.
Like, you know, it could be considered incredibly cheesy, perhaps, to have that sort of event happen, but really, if RWBY reaches, like, an eternal breaking point and just falls to pieces in one way or another, and even if she does lash out against them in some capacity, I have no doubt in my mind that eventually, once RWBY is able to start accepting words again, that if there were anybody in any world that would be able to convince her to keep going in some capacity, it would be these three.
Yeah, and I would also say that's just kind of true to life. It's just like, look, when you're at your lowest, like, who's there for you? Your friends and your family.
That's what you gotta look towards.
And these three, they're both.
Yeah, they really are at this point. They've made that abundantly clear.
Yeah.
It's almost like every single moment leading up to this moment has been entirely intentional and on purpose, and it all culminates into one big moment. And it's just wow! This show is very well written.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
God damn. Anyway, so
and I want to just kind of
Yeah.
shout out the editors when we get to this offer that Shadow Ruby makes.
yeah, basically she just says, you don't have to be Ruby Rose anymore.
And have you
Stop
listened in the background? How it echoes Ruby Rose and gets more eerie each time it repeats? That is ungodly unsettling.
It is. Also, seeing Volume 1 Ruby have such bizarre sense of malicing energy surrounding her is also incredibly unnerving, if I'm going to be honest.
Oh yeah, that too. Just like being so, like, just smiling and like saying all this stuff. Like,
I don't like seeing Ruby like this. I don't like this at all. It needs to get better.
yeah.
But
Before we move on to, like, the end of the episode, I want to make one more dumb Persona joke.
Go for it.
Okay, so basically with how these 4 scenes have played out, Weiss, Blake, and Yang would get their personas.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Ruby would shout, "You're not me," her shadow would turn into a monster, and in the background you would be able to hear, "It's symbolic."
Indeed. Regardless, before Ruby can actually give an answer to it, the curious cat returns and dispels this bizarre illusion.
Because it can do that, apparently?
I guess. And once again, flexing its interesting abilities to pacify and speak to these Ever After characters. I don't know. Part of me feels almost like it's like nefarious in some way. I don't know. I just can't find myself being able to trust the curious cat.
Yeah.
There's something not right about this gal thing.
I mean, it's just like, if they didn't do that with the Red Prince, like, the girls might not have been able to get away.
I get it. The cat has helped them. The cat helped them get away from the Red Prince when that could have gotten really, really bad really, really fast. I get that. I appreciate that. I thank them for that. They are able to sort of calm down the herbalist and have them see rationally, because basically Nightstar basically had a lot to say about this, and how basically the herbalist was trying to do their job, but was basically kind of half-assing and rushing the entire process, not realizing that Ruby specifically wasn't exactly in the right position to be able to even do this entire trial. And in fact, she really didn't even have much business being involved in it, because she's not one of the ones who actually needs the Grogurt. So the herbalist was just kind of going through the motions and being hasty and half-assed about their approach to this entire situation. So obviously the Curious Cat coming in and helping them come to realize that and trying to fix that situation is once again helping them out in a great way, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Curious Cat. I get that, but I don't know. There's an heir to this cat. I just can't trust them.
Honestly, I don't blame you. It's just like
it's all just too convenient. Like, the cat knows too much. I don't know. Look, if I'm wrong at the end of this whole thing and the cat is just 100% an ally the entire way through and they leave amicably and they never do anything bad, I'll own up to that and say, well, my intuition was wrong. I was incorrect. They were a good cat the entire time. Cool beans. I'll admit it. I'll be the first to do so.
And they will get head pads.
Exactly. But at this exact moment, this early into the volume, I just can't. Not yet.
Fair enough. And I have questions about what happens next.
The floor eats the herbalist.
Yeah, okay.
And then it just kind of ends. And the episode's over. We don't get any answers.
I have questions about, like, okay, was that them dying? Was that, like, the start of some transformation thing? Like, was that them just going to the basement of their place? Because they take a cot with them, so maybe they're just taking a nap. And also, you're still gonna make the Grogut, right?
Don't worry, mate, because Little found the cat. Also, there's a... Look, I know, don't worry, we're gonna get those answers. We really are.
I know.
We just have to wait a little bit longer before they get to be full-sized again, and we'll get there. But there is a thing in the credits that I don't know. Did you notice it?
Yeah, I did.
The voices?
About how they're credited as Tiny, Weiss,
Yeah.
Blake, and Yang.
Yes. I didn't notice that on my first watch. So unless it turns out that they're tiny little clones independent of the actual versions and they're off somewhere else, I find it incredibly unnecessary but appreciated that they would bother doing that.
I'm trying to figure out how that would work if that was the case.
I don't know. It's not something I actually think is going to happen. It's just... I don't know. It's a very funny little thing to do. Like... I don't know why they bothered with it, but it made me smile after all of the sad, so I appreciate that.
Fair. And
there you go. Episode done.
And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I know I'm a little, like, fixated on, you know, getting the goals back to normal, but...
You sure are.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, it's just like, look, what if something happens, like, say the Jabberwocker comes back and they're still tiny? What are they gonna do?
I get that, but you're not thinking of the grander possibilities. What if Tiny Blake was riding on your shoulder or hanging out in your pocket? That'd be delightful. Can you say that it wouldn't be?
I mean, it would, but...
It'd be delightful. Tiny little Weiss walking about on my dang desk. That's crazy. That's awesome. That's adorable, and it's worth thinking about. It's a pleasant thought.
Yeah, true enough.
There you go. So you gotta look on the bright side of these SARS things.
Plus, like, I know they're gonna get back to normal size eventually, because, like, there's a shot in the trailer of Yang fighting the Jabberwocker, which... Unless the Jabberwocker is suddenly small.
No, I sincerely doubt that. Look, they're not gonna have the entire damn season with them as tiny. That's not what they're gonna do. That'd be silly.
Yeah, honestly, like, look, they needed to be small for the game. So after that, it's just like...
Also,
what's the purpose?
I mean, you're not in the know on the Alice in Wonderland thing, but shrinking and going back to normal size was an aspect in that.
Oh yeah, I know about that, because, if anything, because I've watched, like, your playthroughs of Kingdom Hearts, where you go to the Alice in Wonderland world, and Persona 4, Persona Q.
Yeah, where again, you have to shrink.
Yeah.
The drink me, eat me things. Yeah. So, it's all just a reference, and they will go back to normal. I'm gonna go ahead and say probably in the next episode.
I hope in the next episode, like... Again, just like, if a fight comes up... Like, well, and also it's just like, this just takes them out of those. For the time being, and it's just like, look, if I get the chance to see them kick ass, I wanna see it.
I mean, we did get to see them kick ass.
Well, yeah,
tiny,
like...
Look, just because some people who know who they are decided to go, wow, look at them go. They beat up a bunch of little salt shakers, and I'm like, God damn dare you, that was badass.
Wait, people like that? Oh my god, they suck.
To be 100% fair, and I need to make this clear, it was mostly in jest to get my goat, and it was my friend who said that. So,
oh, okay, okay.
So, no, this is not they do not suck. They were just, do not take away from that cool moment. That was a cool fight. The girls were awesome.
I didn't have the full context, so...
Yeah. And obviously, they agreed. It was incredibly badass. Just, you know, they just need to be against more daring opponents next time.
Yeah, like the Jabberwocker.
The Jabberwocker Waka.
There is actually a shot from the trailer that shows the Jabberwocker in the garden area.
So that would probably explain why you're so freakishly worried.
I'm not freakishly worried, but I'm just thinking, like, look, Ruby's not at her best. Like, she doesn't have Crescent Rose, and if the goals are still tiny, what's their plan? Are they gonna paper cut it to death?
They're gonna run like hell is what they're gonna do.
Or we could do the Ant-Man logic, and it's just like Yang punches
Tiny
it.
versions beating the crap out of them. That would be fun. You can't say it
Okay,
wouldn't.
that would be epic. I would love that.
I don't think they'll do that, but if they did do that, it'd be pretty great.
You know what? I'm just having that image exist in my mind.
There you go.
Oh, imagine like Yang pulling a puny god on it.
There you go. Just slam it around.
It's just a tiny little Yang, just like just
About
throwing
to-
the giant ass Jabberwocker around.
Sounds pretty dope to me. But, yep, there you go. And it's episode 4. I'm not sure how many episodes will be in the volume. Like 12?
10.
10. All right, so then we're almost halfway through. Woo!
Yeah, we're recording this on Wednesday, which seems to be a norm for us now.
Yeah, it usually ends up being later in the week. Because I'm constantly busy. Ugh.
Well, hey, it also means like there's a RWBY Roundtable that comes out, which I can watch, and if it has anything of note, I can say it here.
It also gives us both time to really, think on the episode and the events.
Plus, we could also watch other people's tweets or videos and just be like, oh, you know what? I never thought about that. That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
why
keep
I
that
always
in
really
mind,
like.
and it adds
That's
to
why I
the
always
discussion.
That's why I always really like to watch the episodes as they come out with my friend Nightstar, because he always has like really interesting perspectives on things, and it helps me better formulate my thoughts and words, and and I can even attribute them to certain things. It taking a bit really does. It helps in the long run.
Yeah. Also, we're like nearly halfway through the volume, and it's just like we are gonna see Jean at some point, right?
Nah, you got baited. You got baited. John's dead.
Rip. Oh god, could you imagine if they leave the Ever After without him and they just did not know the entire time? Like,
Wow.
They get back to Remnant, Nora's just like, where's Jean? He fell too. He did?
That's a Shaggy Dog story if there ever was one. Oof. Then the last scene is just the first time we see Jean of the entire volume, just wandering around, still looking for him.
Like, he's in the Candyland acre, just going like, hello? Anybody?
Just
Guys?
stuck in Candyland. Oh, that's depressing. And yet, still probably significantly more of a cheery outcome than the one that we're gonna have to get through before we can get to a happier ending.
Oh, yeah.
Ah! Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Mm.
I guess that's all we have there to say.
I guess at least of what's relevant.
For now, at least. Next time, well, hopefully the girls get bigger, and maybe we'll see Jean. That'd be nice, or at least him in a full. They'll hinted at that he will soon arrive.
Mm. Yeah, and
Quite frankly, it's such an interesting double act in my brain of, wow, I really am not looking forward to everything falling apart, but boy howdy, sure would be nice if it could happen so we could get past it.
yeah, it's basically what I'm like, and like I mentioned this to you in a message, but it's just like how like each episode we've gotten at least a B moment, and this episode, not as much.
You've chosen to retroactively make one of them that.
Look, because of how that line is delivered, I can't not.
I know. It's not official, but it's still what you've decided to go with, and that's okay.
Well, at least it's not as obvious as like Blake blushing or them flirting or Blake's tackle hug.
Yeah. No, I get you.
I still love that, and going back to the whole like from volume 1 to now thing, it's just like if you told me at the very start of the series that Blake would one day do that.
I know. Like, of all the characters to do a tackle hug, I wouldn't have called that. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's just like every single week I'm just like I'm gonna be at work before this episode comes out, just thinking to myself, is today the day?
Is it the day? Has this been the day we've waited for?
Oh, solid reference. I love it.
There you go. Now that's how you end an episode.